Alright everybody, good morning. Today is August 5th. It's almost about 9 a.m. As you guys saw at the beginning of this video, started my day off today around like 7:30. Started off, right away with sort of 1 hour of sort of a focused work session. During that, 1 hour work session, I was working on, I'm learning this interesting software called Go High Level, where they have all sorts of automation and AI tools. And I partnered with a friend of mine who has his own like auto detailing business, and I'm sort of learning that software through him. So I was building out this cool sort of reactivation campaign or automation that will sort of, text, old clients and see if they're interested in coming back for services and things like that. So I was building out sort of that text workflow. And that took me, honestly, I was thinking it would actually take me a little longer to do, but I got that done pretty quickly. And then from there, I just, meditated for like 10 minutes, walking my dog, and then I'm gonna make some breakfast from here. But yeah, one thing I want to share from sort of, just sort of an insight I got this morning is, when it comes to like work, there's a saying, it's slow is steady, steady is fast. And it applies to all sorts of things, but I realized, towards the end of the day, when I have, all sorts of stuff going on, I almost feel like I don't have enough time to get it all done, just because my focus is so scattered, I guess. And maybe it's, my mind's just all over the place, where in the morning where, like this morning I woke up, I didn't even, the first hour of the day, I stay in my room and I just get the work done, then I leave. So I sort of keep my focus, really focus on that one task I'm doing. I usually plan out the night before. And one thing I noticed was, time really, really slowed down. That 1 hour, it really felt like a longer hour. And even when when I meditated after, it was only 10 minutes, but like, it felt like, half an hour, or at least how a half an hour feels towards the end of my day, where my focus is all scattered. So that's sort of, one takeaway or insight I got this morning is like, really just slow is steady, steady is fast. So, whenever you're trying to, get a lot of things done throughout the day, just take it slow, keep it steady. And at the end of the day, if you just keep yourself, really focused and your mind calm, time might pass longer. You might actually end up getting a lot done. Just a little insight I thought I'd share there. So yeah, from here, it's around 9 o'clock. I'm gonna wrap up walking my dog, gonna make myself some breakfast. Then I got one more work session. That's probably gonna be about an hour. Not sure if I'm gonna do that here or if I'm gonna go to like a Starbucks or a library or something. And after my next work session, probably gonna head to the gym, and we'll take the day from there. Alrighty guys, wrapped up my breakfast, on our way to a library to get my second work block done, and I'm just stopping at the UPS store. Going to be dropping off this sort of car manual that I sold on eBay. It's honestly, it was sitting for like 6 months, and then someone surprisingly bought it for like $40. So yeah, gonna just drop this off at the post office real quick, and then head to some place to work after there. Alrighty guys, found a quiet place to work. It's almost 10 o'clock. Probably gonna have this session be probably an hour or so. What I have planned for this session is just sort of experiment with these voice and conversation AI features, probably more with this conversation AI, see if I can build some sort of chat bot or some sort of booking bot for Dan, and just sort of toy around with this feature, because so far I've been working on like booking flow and automation stuff. This is a new sort of feature that I'm still kind of exploring. So that's sort of the goal for the next hour with this work session, and I'll touch base with you guys around 11. Alrighty guys, it's now around 11 p.m. I finished up working on the chatbot. I spent most of the time just sort of building out this FAQ section and sort of a knowledge base where you just input a bunch of information about the business and what it does. Because at the end of the day, what the bot's doing is it's answering questions that normally a human would answer. And then hopefully eventually, sort of getting information about a lead and then actually even booking them into a calendar. So I spent some time building that out, and obviously it's just a version 1, but I have to say it was pretty impressive. Like I just put the price, so like I put a pricing for a service. So for example, like $100 for like a sedan, or then like $200 for an SUV. And then when you gave it a specific model, like you said, oh, I have a, Toyota RAV4, it was able to, automatically identify that, that's an SUV and therefore it's $200. So that was pretty cool. Anyways, now I'm heading to the gym, going to be doing sort of an arm and core day workout. I do a push-pull leg split. And then once I go through that, I do arm and leg. So I'll film some of that and I'll let you guys know when I'm done. Alrighty guys, wrapped up my workout at the gym. It's now around 12:10 p.m. Had a pretty good workout, just focused on arms today. So like I was saying earlier, what I do is I have a, I'm kind of just following a push-pull leg split. And then usually, I'll rest and then do another thing. But often I like to just mix in, especially now in the summer because I have extra time, I like to mix in like just a dedicated sort of day just for arms and core where I just focus on some exercises. So did some curls, some hammer curls, some dips, some skull crushers, and some core work afterwards. So not a bad workout. Nothing too intense, but went pretty well. So yeah, now I'm heading home. I'm gonna be making myself some lunch real quick, and then afterwards I'm gonna be heading out. The only other two things I've planned today is I have one more work session that I have planned for Go High Level, just working on sort of some admin stuff, and then I think I'm going to be meeting with Dan tomorrow just to kind of show him some stuff that I built out and get him kind of all signed in and set up on his end. So just kind of go through the procedures of preparing for that so that when I do meet him it's really smooth and he can just sign in super easily. And then afterwards I also have a college counselor meeting from like 3:30 to like probably 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then after that just some miscellaneous stuff towards the end of the day, and then I might end up going to see some friends tonight. I'll see, but that's sort of the game plan from here. Around like 5 minutes away from home, so keep you guys posted on all that comes up. Alrighty guys, it is now just after 1 o'clock. I'm back in the car again and I'm heading back to school to go work on some stuff there. There's a nice quiet place where I could get some stuff done. And then afterwards, I'm going to be meeting with my counselor. Actually, that meeting actually got pushed back to 4 o'clock. So I'm going to have, what is it, like 2.5 hours there. But I have a few things I want to work on. I have my private pilot check ride coming up, which is sort of like the final exam. And it's pretty intensive. You have to, study and learn a lot of the material, pretty much every single thing about the dynamics of flight, being a pilot, airplane. You have to learn a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to study every single day for that, starting now, probably around like, half an hour a day. So I'll probably spend some time doing that. Afterwards, I'll just, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to work on sort of that admin stuff for like an hour and Go High Level. And then by then I'll have my counselor meeting, probably 10-20 minutes before it. I'll just prepare some stuff, so I'll be ready to go. So yeah, that's sort of my plan until then. And then at home, I was there. Honestly, it was a pretty quick turnaround, and I didn't really want to film too much. It was kind of busy, but just kind of got there, got changed, rinsed off after the gym, had some leftovers, so I just heated those up for lunch. One thing I've been doing recently is sort of trying to track everything in MyFitnessPal, because at least personally I feel like my progress at the gym's almost plateaued, I guess, almost over the past year. Like I haven't really gotten much stronger or anything like that. And I think part of that is actually my diet, like maybe me just not eating enough or not eating enough protein or things like that. So because I do go to the gym and I do go pretty consistently, and I do strain my muscles pretty at least 3 times a week for like an hour, usually most weeks more than 4 or 5 times a week. So personally I feel like two things that I'm just going to experiment with is obviously just kind of eating a little bit more and then tracking my protein a little bit more. And then I got like this digital scale where I can track my weight every morning. So I'll be able to see. Right now I'm around like 163, 165 pounds. So obviously, the goal would be probably to gain anywhere from like 5 to 10 pounds, most of that being muscle. But yeah, obviously, it's something I want to improve on because I have plateaued in the gym. But at the end of the day, if things really, once school starts and if things really get really, really busy, the gym's, obviously it's a priority for me, but it's not my number one priority. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that. That's one thing I've sort of implemented recently. That's around 1:20 right now. So gonna be at school in about 5 minutes. Gonna be working there for a bit, and yeah, I'll keep you guys posted as the day goes on. So I just wrapped up sort of studying for my pilot's license sort of check ride. So I thought I'd take some time to kind of show you at least what it looks like. So there's this document from the FAA. It's called the Airman Certification Standards, and it's sort of this 87-page document of all sorts of questions and categories that they can ask you about. So what I do is I just copy, for example, here's one section, knowing proficiency versus currency. So what I do is I take this sort of standard and I just put it into ChatGPT, and it gives me, all sorts of, in-depth information about that standard. And then I just go here and I write notes about it, and then I'll use these to kind of review. So that's been sort of my process, my workflow. Spent around, 30 minutes, 40 minutes working on that. And now I'm going to dive probably back into some Go High Level stuff. Alrighty guys, it is now 5:30. I feel like I've been doing a lot of talks in the car today, but I've just been really busy. I haven't had much time otherwise to talk. Anyways, since my last update, I think what I ended up doing was worked on sort of those, admin tasks and Go High Level, sort of preparing for my meeting tomorrow with Dan, or at least I'm planning on meeting with him tomorrow. We don't have an exact time scheduled yet, but we'll see about that. But was sort of planning out, a list of things that I'll talk about with him when we do meet tomorrow. Some things that I might need to set up in the software, some things I might need to talk to him about that might be more specific to his business. So for example, with the chatbot that I'm working on developing, seeing where he wants to place that, right? If he wants to use that, on a website in a chat widget, or if he wants to use that in SMS or on a Google widget, or there's so many different places where you could place it. So just kind of developing some questions that I can ask him about his business, his flow, how he wants to use the tools, and then just a few other random things that we'll have to set up. There's compliance rules for sending texts if you're a business and all that kind of stuff. So I just did some admin tasks for around 30, 40 minutes in terms of that. Nothing really, very deep or extremely productive, but just preparational stuff. Other than that, I had my college counseling meeting. That was at 4 o'clock. So around 3:40, 3:30, I just opened up some stuff, prepared some stuff for that. And I just wrapped that up. It took probably an hour and a half. So it was good. Just touched base on some things I've been working on, some progress stuff, set some goals for the next time I'm going to meet. So everything went well there. So yeah, other than that, I don't have really too much planned for the day. Probably going to go home, have some dinner with my family, maybe read for 15, 25 minutes of a book. I shared in the last video, I'm currently reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. To be honest, I haven't really gotten too deep into the book. I've been pretty busy, or just haven't gotten myself to it. So I'll try and sit down today and get a few pages knocked out there. And then other than that, I might go and meet up with some friends, probably around 7:30 if that ends up happening. Not sure if it will though. Well, it's still kind of in the talks right now, so we'll see about that. Another thing I want to update you guys on is, I'm not sure if you watched some of my previous videos. When I did the phone flipping, I used to drive this red Toyota RAV4, and my dad's a car mechanic, so often when he fixes a client's car, they don't have a car and they need something to rent. So he was renting it out to some customers and people's cars that he was fixing for probably the past 3 or 4 months. So I've just been driving my parents' car. So anyways, that car's been back recently, and otherwise it's just been sitting. So I thought, why not try renting it on this cool platform called Turo, which it's basically like an Airbnb but for cars, where instead of going to Hertz or Enterprise, you just rent a car from peer to peer. So I listed it probably 4 or 5 days ago, and someone booked it the next day. And it was a pretty interesting experience. It was a 2-day rental, and the guy dropped it off today around 3 o'clock when I wasn't home. So when I get home, I'm curious to see in what condition the car's in. Hopefully nothing too bad. The guy had good reviews as a renter, so we'll see. But I just thought I'd share that. It was a pretty fun experience. I just took some photos of the car, listed it. It's just been something fun I've been toying around with, especially now I don't have school and I have time. So just wanted to toy around with that, you know, try something new and maybe make some extra money on the side for that car. So yeah, we'll see when I get home and what condition that car's in. Alrighty, just checked the car out. Everything looks pretty solid. Only thing is, it looks like he drove 350 miles in 2 days, which I'm not sure. I'm gonna message him, see where he went. Obviously, that's included in the booking. I think it's like 200 miles a day is the limit, but I was pretty surprised with that amount when he said he was just gonna be staying in town. But obviously, other than that, the car was left really nice and clean, so not bad for a first little car rental on Turo. Alrighty guys, it is now a few days later. I'm editing up the video. Just wanted to give a little update. After that last clip I sort of filmed, I ended up just having some dinner, went to a friend's house. We played some card games for an hour or so, and then I just went home and then, you know, just got ready for the next day. So that's about it for that video. Not sure what I'll make next, but yeah, stay tuned.